Hello, everyone. This is Dan the Democrat, back at it again with Politics on the Prairie. And today we'll be covering a very interesting episode called The Case for Gina Nelson. For those of you who don't know, Gina Nelson, who ran for state superintendent in 2022 against Ryan Walters, has recently announced for the 5th Congressional District running for Congress against Stephanie Bice. And today we'll be analyzing the potential path for Gina Nelson. So first we want to go through a district overview. Here is the 5th district in the center of our screens here, located primarily in Oklahoma County, with portions in Canadian, Logan, and then Lincoln, all of Lincoln, Pottawatomie, and Seminole counties. This is what I would like to call a light gerrymander. As we can see, portions of Oklahoma County are taken out by the 3rd and the 4th districts, portions of which are fairly blue in their own right. So this definitely makes the district a lot redder in that nature. But in my opinion, there's still a chance for Gina Nelson to win in this area. So I've outlaid a couple of elections here that have happened in the district, and then one election that I have simulated to outline a potential future path for Gina Nelson. So we will get into this real quick here. I'm going to turn on the shift variable from 2020 to 2024 president to talk about that a little bit. And here we go. So first of all, we want to look at 2020 in the district. And in 2020, we can see that the district is about R plus 18 or so. Blue areas in Oklahoma City, down here, some up in Edmond, and then going up we have a blue precinct in Langston, and that's about it as far as that goes. Other areas are particularly red, and the district's drawn very intentionally that to include a lot of red areas. In 2024, the district gets, as we can see, 0.3% bluer. We can see some more blue precincts down here in Northwest Corridor, a little less blue in Edmond, but a real smattering, similar smattering to what we saw earlier. We'll look at the shift here real quick. It's a very minute shift, so we're going to exaggerate the colors here real quick. And what we see here, and this is important to highlight, we see a bluing of very suburban areas, so outer parts of Edmond, out here in the Piedmont, Yukon, and West Oklahoma City area, on Bethany, some exurban areas like in Choctaw, especially in the Northwest Corridor. We see some bluing in downtown Shawnee, even in Seminole, parts of Lincoln County, but a lot of red shifts in northern Logan County, and then in the east side of Oklahoma City here. We've covered this previously. A lot of this has to do with turnout shifts. We could look at that real quick here. We can see a lot of those areas lower turnout in 2024 as compared to 2020. But I want to talk about the case for Gina Nelson. So if we look at this district in 2018 for governor, right, kind of seems similar, but what we can see here is that there are blue precincts in Shawnee, blue precinct in Seminole, a lot more pink here, but we can see that Drew Edmondson lost this district by 600 votes. So if Drew Edmondson lost it, certainly it can't be won again, right? Well, here's the thing. In 2022, two people won it. We had Joy Hoffmeister winning it, and we can see here you still have those blue precincts in Shawnee, not that blue precinct in Seminole anymore, but you have much more blue in Oklahoma County. You have a blue precinct out here in Canadian County now. So a slight shift, very slight shift to the left. We look at superintendent. We actually see a lot better performance here in the rules. We saw those pink up a little bit here. We still have that blue precinct in Canadian County, some blue areas around Edmond, going out to Choctaw. And what I want to look at here is the shift between the 2018 gubernatorial. So we'll put that on here, and then we'll go to 2022, and we'll look at the superintendent's race, because that's the one that features Junior, and it's 0.62, right? But we can see here kind of a similar shift model here to what we saw in the 2020 to 2024 race. So big shifts out here in Canadian County, kind of the Edmond area, Northwest Corridor, some out in Logan County, Lincoln County, Shawnee, and the like. And so I believe that since we have two consecutive shifts like this, 2018 to 2022 and 2020 to 2024, this is a consistent pattern, right? Here's what I would believe a simulated election, a Gina Nelson victory would look like. So it's very similar to what we would see here in a normal election. That Oklahoma County is blue. You only have one blue precinct in Shawnee. But what I've essentially done here, and I'll turn the shift from 2022 superintendent to 2022 simulated election, is that this environment is actually a touch redder than the superintendent election, but it replicates a lot of the same shifts I think we'll see. It gets a lot bluer here in the Northwest Corridor, in Western Oklahoma County, the Edmond area, some Logan County, but it accounts for redder rules out here in the eastern portions of the district. And the reason why I've looked at it like that, because I think we'll see two covalent factors. The rules are getting redder everywhere as elections continue. I think that'll be probably somewhat similar to the case here. And the suburbs are getting bluer, but the reason I've increased the turnout here in the east side, or rather the blueness here, is because since we're in a Democratic midterm, or a midterm favoring Democrats, since it is now, we have a Trump in the White House, we have Republicans in control of the national, I believe you'll see higher base Democratic turnout. The thing is here, as we're going from a Republican-based wave to a Democratic-based wave, so increased turnout, but also increased persuasion, that how it manifests out here. Now, that being said, even though we do see red shifts out here in Pottawatomie counties and Seminole County and Lincoln County, these areas cannot be absolute devastation. As we can see, we see 11-point shift here from these two races. We see a 10-point shift here, a 10-point shift here, slight red shift in these counties here, but it's still important to maintain some good margins out there because, again, this is a razor-thin victory. What I think will end up, as far as a path to victory for Ms. Nelson, will be really increasing Democratic turnout on the east side, making sure that doesn't crater. Working on persuasion here in Northwest Corridor area, really doing well in Edmond, because that isn't, that's the base she has and the base she's worked in. She's a former Edmond North teacher, and then bringing this blue out here further. Now, I also think I've a bit underrated the Canadian County effect here, but I do think they'll be playing a major role. I think precinct 0900203 here will go blue again. As we can see, it's just barely red, but I think that will be another precinct that goes blue because this area is increasing in population. And I do think there'll be some more blue precincts in Shawnees. And I think really what I'm trying to do is underestimate what we'll see in the rules because I'm expecting us to be blown out there so we don't become overly dependent. But I really, the state of organization in these counties is a lot higher than they were previous. So I do actually expect to see a little bit better results there. But in short, Gina Nelson is one of two people that has won the 5th district with the new configuration since it has been drawn. And her path forward really lies getting a high margin in Oklahoma County portion, winning Oklahoma County by probably about 17 to 20 points, and then doing not getting totally just absolutely annihilated in these rural counties to the east, losing them by around 35 to 40, doing well in they're doing well in Logan County, losing it by about 30, and then kind of losing Canadian County by about 20. I believe that combination of voters can net Gina Nelson the win. I expect Stephanie Bice to really campaign hard in the Canadian County portion. This area is growing in population. If we look at the turnout shift from 2024, we can see the turnout shift in this area has really gone up a lot. Same with the Logan County portion. I think there's going to be a lot of Republican campaigning there, really driving turnout, getting new arrivals to turn out and vote. But as far as Gina Nelson is concerned, I believe she should really focus on making sure East Side turnout is higher than it usually is in midterms, because this is a large Democratic base. And then really focusing on her persuasion in this Northwest Corridor area. There's a lot of new precinct officers around here in the Edmond area, while partnering with the county leadership in all these counties, which are all organized, and making sure that the bases of each county, so Seminole County, Shawnee, and Pottawatomie County, Chandler, Lincoln, Guthrie, Langston, and Logan, and then kind of the Yukon, West Oklahoma City area and Canadian are working their areas so that they can meet turnout goals, but also persuasion goals in this race. Those are some just overlying thoughts on what I think about the upcoming CD5 contest. I think Gina Nelson's got a real good shot of winning this, and this is probably a close approximation of what that might look like. Certainly, as the race continues to develop, we'll kind of change this around. But I do want to show kind of the back end of what I've looked at here. So this is the election shifter function of this thing I'm utilizing here. So I have it's based on the 2024 president. So I decreased turnout a lot overall to match the midterm environment. I decreased men more than women because we tend to see women actually have a higher turnout. I shifted them a little bit towards Democrats. I shifted young people a little bit more towards Democrats because I think they're more reaction based. They're going to be reacting to the Trump administration a lot more than other parts. And then looking at, Latino population, shifting them a little bit more towards Democrats. Shifting about every race towards Democrats, only slightly in some cases, more in others, and then really pronounced suburban shift and a higher education shift because we are seeing some education polarization, and then shifting the rules a bit as well because the rules were bluer in 2022 in Oklahoma than they were in any presidential election. So not trying to just fully shift everything towards Democrats, leaving some things even, but trying to create what I think will be somewhat of what the midterm environment will look like. And as we get more data, as we get more polling information, I'll change this. But this is kind of the first attempt at trying to contextualize this race. Obviously Oklahoma County is paramount here. It makes up the vast majority of the district. I think over 75% of the district lives in Oklahoma County, but it is important not to neglect the other portions of the district because I think this race will be won on a razor-thin margin if it's won by Democrats, and so we need to be paying attention to all portions of the district. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I know this is a little bit shorter than usual fare. Hopefully, hopefully that's good. Um, I appreciate the support as always and tuning in. I'll be trying to do more of these videos as I am, working through things and figuring out what's next. Thank you all for tuning in today, and we'll catch you later. Bye.